It started as a normal morning in a small American town until the sound of police sirens shattered everything. Marcus Green, a 28-year-old black mechanic, was having breakfast when the police stormed his home. No explanation, no warrant shown. Within minutes, his hands were cuffed. His mother screamed, his little sister cried, and all Marcus could say was, "You've got the wrong man." But no one cared, because Detective Harris, the lead investigator, Marcus wasn't just a suspect. He was already guilty. A brutal home invasion had left a wealthy white businessman in critical condition. Witnesses said they saw a tall black man in a gray hoodie fleeing the scene. That was all it took. Marcus on a gray hoodie. He was tall, and he lived just 3 blocks away. The police dragged him to the station, sat him under a flickering fluorescent light, and began hours of interrogation. Detective Harris leaned across the table, slamming down crime scene photos. "You think you can lie your way out of this?" he growled. Marcus, trembling but calm, replied, "I didn't do this. I was home fixing my mother's car. Ask her. Check the cameras at the gas station. I wasn't there." But Harris didn't care. To him, Marcus was just another case closed. The detective's voice echoed through the cold room. "You're lying, Marcus. You're a liar." Marcus was charged with armed robbery and attempted murder. The court appointed him a public defender who barely looked at the evidence. The prosecutor painted Marcus as a dangerous thug who targeted success out of envy. No fingerprints, no witnesses, no DNA, just assumptions. Still, the jury's faces told the story. Fear, discomfort, and bias. Marcus's mother prayed every night. His sister wrote letters to the local news stations begging someone to look deeper, but no one listened. In that courtroom, Marcus felt invisible. Then, during a tense cross-examination, Detective Harris looked straight at him and said, "You're a liar, and I'll prove it." The room fell silent. Months passed. Marcus sat in jail, awaiting trial. One morning, a young forensic intern named Emily Carson visited the police evidence room. She noticed something strange, a seal bag containing a blood-stained glove from the crime scene. It was logged but never tested. Emily, curious and meticulous, ran a DNA analysis just to double-check. What she found made her heart stop. The DNA didn't match Marcus. It belonged to a known felon, a man who was already in the system for burglary. Emily immediately took the results to her supervisor, who hesitated. "We've already got someone in custody," he said. But Emily refused to stay quiet. She leaked the findings anonymously to a local journalist who had once covered wrongful conviction stories. Within days, the news spread like wildfire. When the trial resumed, Marcus's lawyer, now replaced by a civil rights attorney, stood up and dropped a bombshell. "Your Honor, new DNA evidence has surfaced. It completely exonerates my client." Detective Harris's face drained of color. The courtroom murmured. The judge called for order, and the prosecutor tried to object, but it was too late. The DNA report was irrefutable. The glove from the crime scene carried the DNA of another man, Tyrone Briggs, who had recently been arrested in another burglary case. The truth hit like thunder. Marcus wasn't the liar. The detective was. Harris had ignored evidence, buried reports, and twisted the narrative. As the defense played footage in the interrogation, where Harris called Marcus a liar, the courtroom watched in stunned silence. Then came the DNA results displayed on the projector. The contrast was damning. The judge looked directly at Marcus and said softly, "Mr. Green, you are free to go." Marcus's mother broke into tears, collapsing into her son's arms. The jurors looked ashamed. Detective Harris walked out quietly, his career effectively over. Later, he would be investigated for misconduct and forced to resign. Emily, the young intern, received a commendation for her courage. As Marcus stepped out into the sunlight, cameras flashed, reporters shouted, but he said nothing. He simply raised his head and whispered, "The truth will always find its way." This story isn't just about one man's fight for justice. It's a reminder of what happens when prejudice replaces truth. Marcus lost 2 years of his life because one detective decided to call him a liar. But DNA, science, truth, and perseverance set him free. And somewhere in that same town, a mother still prays for the day when her son's story becomes the last of its kind.